I'm going to get started, and we have some ground rules. The first one is civility. You can ask any question you want about anything, but keep the tone right and be whatever. Civil. In America, national politics has gotten out of hand, and we're pretty lucky here. It hasn't got that bad yet. The other thing is, what's going to happen is each candidate, instead of me, I went and looked at all your bios again. I only know one of you well enough to say anything. And I said, instead of doing that, we're going to let each candidate take 2 minutes and do autobiography, biography, anything you want with your 2 minutes. I would talk about who I am and why I'm so great without sounding like you're talking about why I'm so great. Because people don't like great people. I don't know why, I do. But anyway, so that'll be the 2-minute opening. And then we'll have the 2-minute close. And I always tell people in the close, you realize all the things you didn't say. And that's your opportunity. Take it. And if you need to make a note, make it. And we're not going to be nasty firm or anything. When you get to the 2 minutes, I'll go like this or something, and you start drafting up. And 2 minutes is longer than you think. So I brought one of my favorite coins in all the world. It's the President Kennedy piece. And we're going to flip it to see who goes first. And at the end, in these things, whoever goes last first, that's who gets all excited because they think they can outdo the other two. I don't think it's true. So first we want to do this, and then I'm going to introduce myself, and then we're going to get started. So I'm going to hold this in my hand, and you're going to, this is a round robin kind of a math thing. And you're going to guess what it is.
Heads.
And heads it is. So you're ahead so far. Okay. Can you see me?
No, okay.
Did you guess what this is?
I'll go tail. Tail.
Tail. No, it's heads. So, we're not talking loud enough. Yes.
Tail.
It's still heads.
You're not shaking.
So yes, I did. Anyway, so you're first. Okay.
Tails eventually have to be.
No. So
Heads.
so you're. Wait, hold on. Okay, go ahead.
Heads.
Yeah. Oh, you did both. Anyway, you're second, you're third. That's for starters. Okay, real quick. For closers, no? What do you want? For closing.
Heads
or tails?
Heads.
Tails.
Okay.
Tails.
Tails.
Head.
Tails.
Finally.
So this,
You're
Is that a trick?
so we're gonna cut this short, and we're gonna do
Belly. Flores.
okay. So you're gonna be last. We're gonna be second and last. We're gonna be
Second.
first when you close.
Okay, okay.
The opposite of when you open.
When we open,
Got
I'm
that?
last.
Okay, now we're having trouble. Okay, you're open.
Closing your last. You made it in your
You're
first.
first.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
She's gonna
We're
take
good.
over.
I'm good.
So I'm Ray Rickman. Used to be a state representative and many other interesting things. I'm writing my autobiography not because of me, but because my nieces and nephews keep asking about their grandfathers and the like. And so I started writing about them, and then I throw myself in. And it's fascinating. I tell people I sat with Rosa Parks 3.5 years. I was chief of staff to a congressman, and she was receptionist and did other things. And every morning I'd come at 7:30, and she'd come at 8. And the doors were 1920 Federal Building. The doors were heavy, and she'd mess with the key, and it was a mess. and I'd run out and I'd open the door. And she'd say, "I'm not an old lady." Every morning for 3.5 years. That's how I greeted Rosa Parks, one of the greatest women in the history of the world. So I have some interesting things to say, and I thought, I'm going to say it. The other thing I used to do is be in charge of elections for the Secretary of State, which is fascinating. And I urge people to vote. I just voted in a primary, in a bond issue, and my vote counted about 400 times more than it will count 2 weeks from today, 3 weeks from today. You hear that? I went to vote, nobody else did. And you got power. Use it. And who your council person is, I cannot tell you how important it is. And who your mayor is, I cannot tell you. I should be able to tell you based on, never mind. Okay. So we're going to start 2 minutes each. I'm not going to be a tough timekeeper. And then after they finish, the floor is yours. You go like that. I'll just point at you, and you ask any question you want, and you can spend 2 minutes if you have to asking. Let us begin.
My name's Joe Cornwall, and I live at 88 Holden Street. We've lived there for 40 years. We've been in Providence for 45 years. I'm an architect. This is my first time running for office. And the reason I got involved in this was because I started to see a pattern between events going on at the national level, the state level, the city level, and coming down to our neighborhood level. And the further we get from our own neighborhoods and our own communities, the more vitriolic and warring is what's happening. It's just this clashing like this. But when you come down, you start getting close to community people like ourselves, we all have the same thing that we want. We want the peaceful enjoyment of our property in our neighborhoods. It's okay with us if our next door neighbor feels completely different from us about anything, whether religion, if they're real noisy, okay, we gotta deal with that. But the point is, we're all after the same thing. And at the community level, the ward level, the issues are all pretty much the same issues for us. It's, the schools, the policing, housing shortage, cleanliness on the street, as well as safety. And so I started thinking about it and talking to people and saying, well, what do you think about ward, the ward situation? And I came to realize that we're all fixated through the media on what's going on up here, the national level, the city level, where we really don't have a lot to say. And the part where we do have something to say is basically decrepit. I don't know how many people I've spoken to. They don't know what ward they're in. They don't know who their councilman is. And yet this is the place where democracy happens, is right with us in here. And it seems to me like everything's flipped around. That we should be concerned about what's going on with our wards. If we really had a handle on our wards, it'd be easier for the mayor to run the city. And it would be easier going all the way up if we took more attention to our local needs. Now the reason we don't is because right now things are in a way that make it hard to do that. It just happens to be that way. It got this way. We always think in terms of, well, the big answers are really in Washington, and if I can't get the money here to do what I want to do, I can't solve it here, I'm going to solve it up there. And we overlook what we have as our ability here. So what I did over time, before I ever thought of running for office, I started to think, there's some changes we could make ordinance-wise to the rules that run the city, which might make it easier to be effective at the ward level. So what I came up with was what I called my 7+2, my 7 ordinance proposals and my 2 charter amendments. And the idea through those, if you read them, if you pick up on them, is to really strengthen our ability as wards, to have our voice be stronger, to have us be more knowledgeable, to have better information. We don't get good information. Oh, yeah, I can quit. No, I mean, I can just keep talking about it.
Hi, I'm Miss Alfier to everybody. I've been in this neighborhood longer than Joe. I've been here for 60 years, a little over that. Matter of fact, Joe and I have been knowing each other about the 40 years that he's been here.
That's true.
Knowing each other. We both have been involved in the neighborhood, doing things in this community, trying to get things done. The reason I'm in the race is because things need to be done. We look around and we see stuff and we know things need to be done. I've been here so long that people feel that they can just tap me on the shoulder at the market. They call me up in the middle of the night. They tap on my door, whatever, and they always tell me, oh, this, we need this, I need that, what can I do, blah, 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 blah. My thing is we need to tell people about all the resources that we already have. Because we have tons and tons of resources. People don't know about them. I may not know each and everything, but I know how to get in contact with the person that does. I make sure if I hear somebody come up and say, Miss Alfier, you know what? I need a place to stay. The rents are so high. I can't afford to live here anymore, which is one of the biggest issues now. I work with them to try to find, because most of them don't want to leave this area. Because, you know, we are a community. That's one thing about us. We've been around each other for so long. We feel like, you know, we're all related. Well, I feel like we're all related because I feel like this area is my living room. You know, I'm one of the ones that I grew up here. I've known people for so long that it's a big family. Now, don't get me wrong, just like in regular families, you might have your little, you know, disagreements, you know, but you work them out. You know, that's what families do, you know. So when they come up to me, I'll just try to find them a place. But now I'm finding that I can't find them a place. There's no place for them to be. So I'm running because we got to make this community a community again. We got to stop them from buying up all the property and then, you know, making the prices go up so that the people that are here, my cousins, have to move. They shouldn't have to move, you know. So I'm in it for a lot of different things. I teach Community 101. Joe was one of my students, you know. And I don't think I told you, I'm a retired educator. But I've done a lot of things. You know, like most people that live in this, like, you know, I went to school for journalism. I never spent one day writing an article on anything, you know. Life gives you little curves. You got to go with the flow, you know. But I enjoy my life because I have gotten to know so many people, and I do know the issues here. I know what Ward 12 needs. I have ideas of how to get them, but I know, like everybody else is sitting up here, it's not an I. It's always going to be a we. One person can't do all the things that need to be done. And we need to learn to work like a community. We need to learn to use all our neighbors. We need to learn that we are all in this together. So cousins, here I am.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Flores. Thank you, Mr. Rickman, for taking your time and being here with us. I really appreciate it. And all the neighbors, thank you for coming and listening to us in our proposals and our plans for the community. I believe my name is Flores. I live on off Academy Avenue on Wealth Avenue, which used to be Ward 6, and now it's Ward 12. The funny part is that that part of the area was Ward 12 on my backyard and Ward 6 on my front yard. So they decided to do the boundaries different this time, and I was placed on Ward 12. With that said, that doesn't mean that I don't know anything about the wards. I don't know what the needs are, we all have, the city of Providence have a lot of needs. And when it comes to the city of Providence, it comes to the wards as well. So what I'm here for, I have two beautiful children, two grandchildren. One is there, my grandchild. And I'm proud of them. As you know, they're growing up. One of the things that concerns me is the neighborhood of safety for them and for all the kids that are around in the neighborhood. I work as, I was the vice president for a nonprofit organization which we brought programs and information programs to the communities as well. And we also work with nonviolence programs to help the community and help those in need that needed the guidance and also the help that they needed. After that, I founded my own organization, my nonprofit organization, in which I've been doing all the work I was doing all the work at Ward 6 because that was my ward. And last year, we partnership our nonprofit organization with the Providence Housing Authority. So all that work that I had done on Ward 6, I want to carry on to Ward 12 because they're the same needs and they need, this is the important of having the community together and not, unite the community and not separate the community. So we all need to come together. So me working with the community in my organization, we bring the programs, we bring the information, we bring the information to the people who doesn't know the information. So we gather them together so we can work with them and we can inform the community about the issues and the problems that are in the community. We also have my goal here on Ward 12 is to uplift Smith Hill, work with the people in Smith Hill, and bring the best of Smith Hill, like it used to be. It used to be a good neighborhood. It used to be a neighborhood where everybody knew each other, everybody worked together, and everybody was informed about things that were happening. Helping the small businesses grow. The small businesses are the backbone of our community. Without the small businesses, we will be a different community. So that's what I'm here, that's what I'm running. I'm running for safety, I'm running for infrastructure, making sure that the streets are clean, that the sidewalks are done properly. I care about the elderly as well, so we need to help them because they get forgotten, and we can move on.
So before we continue, do we need to send a few chairs in back? Anybody want to chair? Goodness, so now it's the people's time. So we'll start with whoever has the very best question. You can go first. You're supposed to laugh at it. Yes, organizer.
This really is for the three of you. Actually, it's for the whole room, to be honest with you. What do you think you can do about the rat situation? Now, I'm not asking you to say grandiose things to make me or anybody happy, because I know it's a friggin' mess, and it's awful, and they're big, and I see them, and I have to pay my humble money, which I have very little because I'm retired, to get a company to come to my house. It's really ridiculous. My understanding, correct me anybody if I'm wrong, is that we do not have a rat abatement in the city. Do you think you can get that for us?
No.
I certainly would try. The problem is, right now, the way things are organized, the city is overextended. In other words, if we get help with the rats here, somebody's not getting their help someplace else. There's just everything in the city needs attention, and the budget of the city, the needs of the city, the tax base just isn't there. So you go to the city ordinance regarding rats, and it says, oh, you can do this. It's very logical, as far as you go to the owners, the city provides the abatement they talk about, the penalties for them. It always takes time to do it, but what about the house next door? What about when it's an absentee landlord? You got to contact him before you contact the owner there. It's all of this effort, which takes days, and by the time it gets done, it's like, hey, we did it. And it's like, wow, I got rid of the rats in this lot. And it was the one thing I did, and all the other issues that are in the city still need to get addressed. So what I'm saying with my ordinance proposals is that we start looking at other ways to finance things in the city. Not going to be more money, but the ability to shift costs and to address issues in each ward. It's interesting. Our ward is the same size as North population. Basically 12,750 people. We're about the size of North Smithfield. We've got a square mile, a little more than a square mile. They've got like over 20 square miles. Actually, the budget of Smithfield, if you divide it by 15, is kind of the budget for we've got here. They've got 5 selectmen representing them. We've got 1 council person. That 1 council person goes down there and sits with 14 other council people. Whoever wins is going to be the new person. We hope they do well getting in there to do things. But we need to see what these budgets are paying, what we are paying. That's the second thing that's on my list of 7 things, is we need to know what each ward is paying in taxes. What are we paying? If you divide what we're paying evenly, each ward. Now, Lord knows what the disparity is between one ward and another. You may think, oh, the east side, they might pay a ton more. I don't know. There's a lot of nonprofits over there. There's a lot of big properties. We'll have 3 or 4 tenements on the same property as one homeowner. Maybe it's pretty close. But I'd like to see, okay, that $23 million that's coming out of our ward, how much is being paid for rats? And let's see how we're doing on this, because the third thing I'm saying is that we should all have a website which is strictly monetary. It's the finances of the city for us. Not, it's great, the city's website is very helpful, but it doesn't help us to know what it costs. We need to know what it costs. We need to be able to draw the line so that the rat problem, we can see, oh, this thing isn't funded. Or go to DPW and you see, they just aren't making it happen. I'll wind it up.
Okay. Going back to the ordinance that Joe was talking about, it technically does not say that you have to get in contact with the renter. What it says is, if I call, if I'm renting and my landlord is not there or I'm unable to get in contact with them, the city can come in and bait me twice, and that they can try to bill that landlord, or they won't. What the city has is, because we all know that Sabina, back when she was over in the other ward before she became lieutenant governor, fought for the rat abatement. So they did put this effort out that you can go and call Public Works, and they would come out. What they failed to say was, they come out only if your landlord gives you permission, and the landlord had to live on the property, which is not written in that abatement law at all. This is what the city said to us. So, If your landlord did not live in your property, on that property, they wasn't coming. Which, like I said, is not even the ordinance. This is something that the city decided that they wanted to do. But then again, if you did live there, because I'm a landlord, I called because I live in this neighborhood, and they did come. They didn't tell us that they would come, put that thing out, and then sneak in, because that's what they did. They snuck in and took the bait thing out and left. If the tenant hadn't been looking out the window saying, well, what's going on? They said, well, this is what we do. We only can do it once. It's on you now. So I called and I said, that's not what it says in this ordinance. So my thing is, we need to tighten up that ordinance, because there's nothing wrong with us going to revamp something. Without us trying to find out where's the money is over here, the money is over there. If they can come out twice because of the ordinance that we wrote, then we can rewrite that ordinance where they have to come out. And my biggest thing also is only a third of the people in this area have ownership, a person living in their house, the owner living in the house. So that is 2/3 of the people that can't get this, according to their little rules that they want to give out there. So if it's only a third, it's me and the next 2 houses don't have one, and then maybe the house down, you're never going to get the problem solved. So it needs to be that everyone who is having a problem should be able to get them to come in and bait, even if it is for 2 times. But I recommend that we do 4 to 6 times, So that would be my thing, that we go and we tighten up the ordinance that we already have and make them go by what is in that ordinance, opposed to making up stuff as they go along.
This is where city services come into place, and us as city councils, we have what is the word that I want to use? We have the duty to work with DPW. We have the duty as city councils to come out with DPW and see what the problem is and where we can fix it and how we can fix it. And that's how we work with the ordinances that there is in place. But we have the responsibility to come out and do the job. If we don't do the job, it doesn't get done. And with everybody's help and everybody together, we can make it happen, and we can work together to make it happen and get it done. As city councils, it's our obligation to do the right thing for you and for the community, and together we can do that.
Meeting over? Questions?
We thought you were going to ask the questions.
I can ask a lot of questions, but you don't want me to ask the questions because, the first thing I would have told them, I have a neighbor who pays, taxes are different, okay? You own a 24-unit apartment house and you're paying $600,000 taxes, okay? Sure. And you don't have any rats because it's that river house down on the water. Wait, let me finish. The river house down on the water, they ain't got no rats, and they're paying $800,000 in taxes. So this is a very complex problem. And I have no rats. I live on the top of College Hill, and I've never seen a rat. Now, every morning at 5:30, I walk over to Thayer Street, and I almost can't go there anymore. There are skunks, raccoons, possums, and rats. And all the other animals I like. And they were here before me, and they come out there at 4 o'clock, and they eat all that garbage on Thayer that they can get. And then the rats hang out in Fun Salad, so I know where not to go. And those people don't care about the rats because the rats are gone by 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock and they never see them. This is a very complex problem. the city has only began to answer. And I think it's, my guess, I heard this, I don't know it's factual. My mother raised me not to say things I don't know to be true. About a third of the city has a rat problem. The other 2/3 don't. So we could take that money and apply it to the third that have the rat problem. What I know about the ordinance, it's ridiculous. They ought to work until the problem is resolved. This idea, you know, it looks like they're painting the front door on your house instead of the whole house. So you want to respond quickly before we go to the next issue?
Well, I'd just like to say, one thing Mayor Cicilline did was when he got the new garbage cans,
Yes.
that really did help.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a few years ago, but that was
20 years ago.
right. But that was one improvement that made a huge difference. What I just wanted to say was the rat problem is a great problem to introduce, to understand how everything is related. If we had patrolmen on the beat and one of their obligations was to, one of their empowered facilities was to address this issue, so that instead of phoning downtown, talking to DPW, you're talking to someone who's on the beat who knows which house it is, knows which landlord. It gets into whole other issues of policing and police powers, but it's something that's missing right now in community life that we're in dire need of. It's very expensive, and yet it will solve a lot of problems.
So we have to be careful about staying on one issue.
Yeah.
But do you want to respond again?
No.
Okay.
That's what this way on.
Well,
Ain't something wrong with me.
No, I have my back to you. There's nothing wrong with you.
Back to me.
You're probably a better
Tell me
person
something.
than I am.
Tell me
Let's start.
something.
Go ahead.
Alright, he says the city got these great garbage cans and everything, right? What, a few years ago, supposed to help fight the rat problem, right? And the city baits the rat problem around here, but they do it for the landlord for 30 to 60 days, and then that's the end of that. No more. Now, the garbage man beats the garbage cans to death. Everywhere you see the garbage cans, they all busted up. So the rats just go again. So you got lunch and serve. How do you fix that problem?
Well, it's a struggle. You have to constantly stay on it. That's what everyone's saying in terms of
My
doing.
own garbage cans, then the city won't empty them.
Pardon?
Buy my own garbage can, the city won't pick them up.
Oh, right. You have to have the city's garbage can.
Yes, and they just tore their garbage cans up for me.
But you can buy garbage cans from the city.
Why would I want to buy them? They still gonna tear them up. You missing my point?
No, I'm not missing your point. I'm with you. Every day I come out, and my garbage can this morning, they were in the middle of the street.
Yeah,
And
that's
somebody
cool.
had-
Living in the middle of the street is not
Somebody
too
had
loud.
hit one of them. So we have every problem you can imagine. And this is where I'm different. Every single one of these problems is manageable if we have the leadership. Yes, ma'am.
So I heard you all talk about wanting to do something for small businesses. I'm a daycare owner and operator right here on Fillmore Street, and I would like to know what can you do to help me thrive?
Do you want to start?
Well, we need to get together with the business owners and see what their needs, their problems, and their concerns are. And just, get the solution for them to see where we can help them grow and how we can help you grow in your business.
Are you a tenant or
Landlord, owner.
you're an owner? And you pay tangible property tax on
I can't hear you.
tangible property tax on
Do I
the
pay
equipment
tangible?
in your
Yes, I do.
business. What do you think of the tangible property tax?
What do I think of the tangible property tax? I'm trusting that it's going to help our community overall. So is your proposal to remove the property tax?
Well, when I talk to other small business owners, particularly people in this restaurant business, they're supposed to be itemizing, giving the value of all their equipment, which depreciates, So year after year, they may be paying a little less on it, and then they get new equipment and they have to pay more again. But it's time consuming. And I'm not saying we can eliminate the tax, but can we shift it to some other way which gives you your time back? It's one small area I can think of. Other than that, most of what I see the city council person doing for you has to do with safety on streets, cleanliness. As far as business loans, that sort of thing from the city, there's programs now available, but I don't have any creative solutions to it right now that I could give you.
Yes, sir.
Joe ends up where I want to start. There are some small business loans that are out there now that they're really trying to get started for, because when we got that lump sum of money that came in because of the pandemic and everything. Some of that money they have targeted for small businesses. So I would sit down with you or with other people and get them to talk to with our foundation, because they got some of the money, other organizations that have this money and see what it is. And it depends on what field you're in too, So you're doing child education. That's one of the things that they're trying to target too. They're trying to put more money in for education. They're trying to put more money in for the early child education. So there are funds out there that can help you with your business. But like I said, it depends on what business you're in. But there's still a lump sum of money out here, and it's going to be out here for a couple more years. I don't know how much longer, because we know we've used up quite a bit of it, but there's still some there.
Because you just hit it on the mark. Rhode Island Foundation has $21 million starting September 1.
Yes.
Commerce has a new $40 million starting October. But the city has 30 or $40 million federal money it has not spent.
Yes.
And I don't know why they haven't. And I tried to talk to the mayor about it, and he's like, I'll leave that alone. But can I tell you, it is unbelievable how much help there is.
Yes.
You need to get some guidance. Seriously. If you can't go get whatever you need, I'd be surprised.
Okay.
Who's the next person? Time will come and go, and yes. Yes.
I want to address what Janice was saying, and this is a totally underground issue, like that. The way that I deal with the rats in my neighborhood, I trapped a feral cat. He stays in my garage in a home like that we built for him that has 2 escapes in case another beast comes in. I feed him every day. He's just the sweetest cat, and there is not a rat to be found around my house. It's not everybody's solution, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it works. So, the only thing is you got to keep all the other cats away. Keep one and shoo the others away. Because you'll end up with a colony. But I do want to ask the panel, what you see as the most pressing issue for our community in your mind. I think that our education system has failed our young people, and to me that's a very high priority. But I'm thinking about other community issues that we need to deal with, and if you could answer what you think is the most important thing, I'd like to hear.
Well, the rent. I mean, I've lived through 3 of these business cycles here on Smith Hill. By that I mean where my assessment of my property almost doubled, then it goes back down, then it goes up again. And I'm always curious, which was the first bank which said, yeah, I'll lend you the money, which the only way you're going to pay it back is to jack the rents. Which was the first bank to do that? And once that bank did it, they all fell in line. And all of a sudden, these properties, which all need improvements, are being exploited in terms of, well, they got a loan for that, a loan for this. And the rents, and then we have this disparity in incomes. I mean, it's really criminal the way people are displaced. I mean, this really isn't right at all. I mean, there has to be some way to protect them in terms of either rent control or in terms of tenants' rights that really have to protect people in a way that they aren't being protected now. And it's really awful. Also, there's properties that are ready to be improved, that are available, lots that are available here on Smithville and in Ward 12. And that's why I'm hopeful that by the issues instituting what I think is important, get us focused on solving the problem of housing here. Let our ward solve the problem. How much? Let's get names. Let's get lot numbers. Let's find out exactly how much we actually have in terms of money that is in our ward that we're paying right now in rents. And in the rent money is tax money. The mortgage money is tax money. How much of it is ours? What are you paying here in the 1% tax on the restaurant here? What businesses pay, the business tax? All of that is money which can be available to help towards housing and address it at this level.
I would have to agree with Joe in the fact that I think housing is probably one of our biggest issues. And the reason I'm of the mindset that things tumble on each other. If you don't have housing or decent housing, it affects everything. It can affect you getting a job or being able to sustain a job. It can affect your child if they're going to school, because how are they going to get to school if they don't know where they're going to wake up the next day? They don't know if they're going to go to school, you know. It can affect your health because you're stressed out about everything, you know. So housing, you've got to have a house or a home. You got to feel like you're stable. And what's happening now, it has happened before. We all know gentrification has always happened, and it's going to always happen, you know. But we have to stop it. We've stopped it before. We'll do it again. But we have to come together to do it. If we don't, then it's just going to keep going out. We got to get the people that are renting these houses, the ones that are still here, to stay and say, I'm not going to charge Mary Ellen $4,000 for a house that I know is worth $400. It just doesn't make any sense. I am a homeowner. I know that the rents out there are $2,000 and plus. I charge $600 for my third floor and $700 for my first floor. The reason I do this is because I've been on both sides. I've been a renter and I've owned my own home. There's no sense in us trying to, because people fail to realize that I cannot afford to pay the $2,000, but I need a home. And I got $4,000. I needed $2,000 to get in there. But what's going to happen next month? And the month after that? And the month after that? Then you're going to be running around trying to hide, and then you're going to get evicted. Or it's just going to cause this vicious cycle. You know, and people get so upset that they might destroy your house because they're not mad with you. They're mad with the situation. So we have to all look out for one another. I know I keep going back to this neighborhood and us being a family, but that's how we, in order for us to survive in Ward 12, we got to look out for each other in Ward 12. So, my thing is, we keep talking about affordable housing. We have, you know, we do have CDCs. We do have one neighborhood. I'm on one neighborhood builders board. I've been on the CDC board. These are housing things where you're trying to get people into a house. And they're supposed to be affordable. But the city has also let other people come in and buy up all this property. And these people don't care. They're flipping it over. And it might be $4,000 for a house. So we have to come together as a group. Now, there's only so many houses that they're gonna let us deem affordable. We know that, you know. So, we have to make it and put it in an ordinance that so many houses have to be more. Houses have to be affordable, and truly affordable. Because now they play that game with affordable housing, but it's not truly affordable because they go by the median of the income. So when I say affordable housing, I'm thinking, okay, this is for the person that's getting minimum wage and they're just trying to get in there, and we want something low enough. When they say affordable now with that medium wage, it's the same amount that you're gonna pay out in the streets because they're gonna put you in a more affluent place supposedly, and they're gonna charge you $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. So we have to come together as a group, have a community. We need to go to all the housing things, but we need to go through the schools. We need to go through everything. We have to make it so that we're working together. And I know I'm gonna keep saying it until I make you sick of hearing it. We gotta work together, people.
In order for us to move forward, we had to have a better quality of life in order to move forward. And how we can accomplish that. We can work together. We can help each other. As a city council, we have the obligation to look out for our wards. And when we talk about wards, we don't talk about only one ward. We can't focus on Ward 12 only because all the wards become one. And as we work together at the city council, we work together, we make it better. Okay? So to answer your question, what are the things that we see that is critical here? At this point, what is critical is housing. We have a crisis in Rhode Island, in Providence, with the housing community. So we need to make sure that we do the possible. Now we have new people coming into the council, and we need to work together. If we don't work together, we can't fix the things that need to be fixed.
True.
Another thing that concerns me is the education. Now the state has it. I think that we should give them a chance to take care of the education, but if not, bring it back to the city and see what the new administration is going to do for the schools. How are we going to handle the school system? How are we going to move forward with the school system? Our safety is important. The safety of our kids are important in every community, not in just Ward 12. It's around Providence, the whole city. So we have to concentrate on the things that matter. And what it matters right now, we have a housing crisis. And we need to work together to fix the housing crisis with the new administration.
Rick, can I follow up and tag on to
Wait,
that?
we'll come back.
Okay.
Chester had his hand up.
I saw him. Yeah.
This question is for the other two candidates, not Miss Alfier. We had a tough issue in this community with the homeless shelter. Do any of you recall that incident? Were you a part of that? Were you a part of the solution of that incident? Were you in the meetings?
I zoomed in on one of the meetings, and I got involved with David O'Connor and the building there. And I'm an architect, and I offered to measure the building for him to see what could be done with the building. And it appears that what's happened in that particular location is that the question of the ownership created this vacuum that attracted something for people, a place for people to live. I mean, in the middle of the winter, right, it was freezing, and it was a place where they could go, and it seemed to work. But in terms of having an answer to that, to the whole homeless issue, I don't have an answer to it.
Well, do you know the effects that it...
Absolutely.
Can you comment on the effects that it made to the neighborhood? How would you have done it?
Absolutely. I go over there, and I was over there yesterday, and it just spreads this ring of inability to feel comfortable there. If you're walking through, if you're trying to go from one end of the neighborhood to the next, you know, you're going around, you're wondering what these people are doing, how can I help them, what can happen, and I'm at a loss. I mean, I know that there's phone numbers you can call. Your street sites is all about the homeless problem, and it persists. The police, again, the police presence is thin, and there has to be a police presence to be effective in this case, or in all these cases. And you know, it gets back to what I was saying before about how city services are strapped. That's why the roads are starting to pave roads now, but the roads are a mess. Why are the roads a mess? Well, they've got to keep their bond issue, the rates down. They're juggling. The finance department, I think, actually does a pretty good job with what they have. But in terms of the tax base of the city, it's thin. I mean, this whole city belongs to nonprofits. What's profitable are nonprofits. Rhode Island Foundation, the head of the Rhode Island Foundation, is it true? I mean, his salary is, no, it's not true. Good.
No, you know, I like to defend them. Do you know why?
Yeah, go ahead.
They pay 110% tax on that bill.
Well, good.
Okay?
That's excellent.
Let's keep on the subject.
Yeah,
the
right.
The subject is the effect of that shelter on this community. Do anybody understands the effect of the shelter? Like you just said, you're an architect. You went and you measured it. What I want to be known and want to be understand, the shelter should have never been there in the first place.
Exactly.
It's right next to a school. It affected every business in the area. It affected the children come to school. I'm a football coach. I also work with the North and Outreach. Every parent, every mother of their children was uneasy bringing their kids. They went the long way around to drop their kids off to school because
And it's
of that
still
area.
there. There's still people there.
And so my question is, how would you have handled it? I didn't want to give too much information. I wanted to know how would you have handled it.
I think that responsibly, we could have just put people that are able to work with the homeless and have different approaches, but it had to be done the right way, in the responsible way, by bringing professionals to help the homeless, not just opening a shelter and bringing people in without having responsible people to take care of the homeless.
Which in turn, we talk about the homeless in this community, but what we fail to miss is that 90% of the people that was in that homeless shelter wasn't even from this community.
Exactly. I mean,
these are things I want to be addressed in this meeting. So moving forward, that before we make a decision about moving something into this community, we get the community's ideas and suggestions first.
absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Okay, for one, you only got so many homeless people. You don't have nowhere near as many homeless people as you think you have. The majority of those people that you see hanging out are just cons, you know? And the homeless people, they need guidance. Some of them, but they actually, your city screwed them a long time ago. When they shut down the IMH, all these people came out with nowhere to go. How long have they been in the IMH? All their life? when they started to get a little
That was years ago.
then all of the crooks came in. But now you think you can help all of them at one time? There's nothing wrong with all of them at one time. These guys out here begging you with a sign right behind them saying, highway now, come in and get a job.
Check.
Right over there. But they said I'm broke and I got no way to make a dime. And you see this all the time. Anytime you go down the street, you stand in front of McDonald's, everybody's out. They just don't want it.
Go ahead, please.
I know you didn't really want my response. I think what,
I'm not saying because I didn't want your opinion, it's because we saw you acting, we saw you in action. You was actually there, one of the people going in with the fire department and the police and doing that. That's why I wasn't asking you. I was asking them directly. We saw what you did, but I haven't seen any big things to it. That's not even a disrespectful manner, so please don't take it like that.
yeah, no. But what I'm going to say is, we know that the homeless situation is dire everywhere. This is not a city thing, a Providence thing. It's everywhere. But we also, I agree with Chester, and we have to address it and come at it in a way that does not impede on the lives and the livelihood of the community that's already there. And what happened was, it was more of they were bringing somebody in for a night because it was cold, and it became a month's worth of havoc, you know. And the place that they put them in was deplorable. I wouldn't have put a dog in there. You know, that's how bad. I mean, a pit bull that's biting me every day. I would not put him in there because people deserve the right to have decent, you know, to be treated decently. They were not treated decently. They were put into a deplorable situation. And then they were there. We knew they were pedophiles in there. We knew all kinds of things were going on, and it took forever for us to get them out. So it caused a lot of havoc in this particular thing. And you don't know anything about it. So you kind of put her on the spot because that wasn't happening here. That we know because it was in the heart of our little pot of Cornwall. But I like to go to education though.
Could I add something? You know, I live on the east side, 44,000 people, and we have no homeless shelters. And this city government would never give us one, even on a temporary basis.
No.
And a rec
Wait, let me finish.
No.
We have no rec problem to speak of.
No.
And all this stuff is council not doing its job. I'm going further. The mayor not caring. And your neighborhood is supposed to have homeless shelters. We spend $16 million on crossroads and the like, and they do a lousy job. And nobody on this council in 12 years has said to them, and you talk about professionals, I've been working with them for a year. I'm about to sue them. I have 2 homeless people who sleep in my back door every day. Urinate. I can't tell you what they do. And the cops, because of the law, do nothing unless I lie. And I'm not prone to lie. So we got a mess, and it's fixable, I think. But no. But we haven't had anybody really work on the homeless, whatever. And I want to say again, it's none of my business, but I'm saying it. No neighborhood in this city should have homeless shelters. I'm not talking about people who are low income and have trouble. I'm sorry, we're short of cash. That's another issue. But I'm talking about troubled homeless shelters should not be heaped upon the south end. I can tell you the 5 neighborhoods, they just throw them in. And that's what they did to you. And when you go to the council, the answer is no. That's the answer to you. Not in this neighborhood, because we've got 2 places that have all this money, including the city's money. I've said too much, but this stuff pains me when I see it.
And that's what happened. Unfortunately, I mean, once I went in there, I had to fight. I wrote a letter and said I cannot let us stand in our community. So, yes, I work with the fire department, yes, I work with the police department. I tried to call Crossroads, because they were sending people over here and telling them, look, do not send anybody else over here. This is not where they need to be. But it hurts your heart to have to say certain things because people deserve a place to live. They do, you know. But you cannot come here and just, you know, we have it. And it's always just a few. But we all know all it takes is a few bad apples in any situation to make the whole barrel bad. You know, and so that's what happened.
Yes, sir. Right here.
Yeah, I'm just representing the Smithfield Library here. And I just want to put out that we are offering
Yes.
once a month, we have the Rhode Island Coalition to End Homelessness is here at the library in the morning, on a Monday morning, and they, Tuesday morning. I can give you the schedule if anyone's interested. And they are doing a housing clinic, housing navigation clinic, to help people that are looking for housing. So they're there and they're helping people get networked to try to find housing. They're also offering once a month a free legal clinic for anyone who needs to speak with a lawyer and get some legal advice. So these are two things that we're doing with the Rhode Island Coalition and Homelessness, and part of this was in response to the situation that's started.
So will you go briefly and then we've got to move on?
Okay, just moving past that, I would like for whoever becomes city council, whenever there's something that's happening, a major change or something that's happening in the community, that the community be spoken to on it first before we make those major decisions.
I agree.
I mean, because this is not the first thing. I read over there near Rogers Rec, there's a skateboarding rink for roller skaters. They took out the volleyball net and a little hacky sack thing, but on Sundays, if you ever went there on a Sunday, you see like you will see like 30 plus Lithuanians out there waiting in line to play the hacky sack little volleyball thing they play. They're there. What you did, you took that away from them and you put a skateboarding thing where nobody uses. Well, if there's anybody using it, they're not from the community. They're coming here to use it and they're leaving. That's not how you get the best out of your community. How you get the best out of your community is you survey your community. You bring them together in these meetings before you make those kind of major decisions. And I would hope that whoever's in the position would have something in line to involve the community in these decisions.
Now, we've had this for 4 years, whether it's a bike path or whatever it is, that communities are not asked for anything. It just happens. And back to the council people, was there one person back there before we go back? Wait, no. I promise you, we're running short of time.
No.
Anybody else before we go back to you?
I just wanted to follow up on the housing issue. So in my neighborhood, there's one person who owns 13 properties. All of them are dilapidated. A big concern of mine is this Strive company. They're not one person. They are a whole bunch of people who got together and are buying up our city, okay? And they are, just making it impossible, and they're also, to my understanding from some people who rented from them, not good landlords.
Right.
I want to find out how we can prevent these people from owning more of the city, because where I live, there's only a couple single-family homes. Most of them are triple-deckers that are all non-owner occupied. I've been in my home for 36 years. My son was born in my home. I will die in my home. But I want to be happy in my home.
Amen.
So I don't know if there's something that can be done about these people, but I don't like it.
Joseph, go ahead.
The first thing that got me involved in wanting to run for office is that we live in a ward. This is a ward. This is called a ward. A ward is a place where you live if you're not living a normal life. You get put in a ward if you're in prison, in a hospital, you're a ward of the state. The idea is we're all helpless. Here we are, American citizens. It's all about freedom, taking initiative, and we're in a ward, and that has to end. And if we can get rid of the ward mentality, the first thing I said, I would pitch this idea. You know, it's a good idea, but everybody's got their own. So I had to run for city council in order to pitch this to see if it has legs.
Yeah.
I recommend the word council. People will have other words, but I think if we all consider ourselves as the council, which gives counselor to the council person. It gets right back to what Chester was saying about community control. If we all have a sense that we are the people who advise our counselor, when that was 150 million, what was the number that came into COVID money that came to the city? 200 million. Okay, so it's closer to what, 12, 13 million dollars. Did it go to the ward? Did the ward have any say over, well, this is coming our way? Were we in any position to say, oh, this is what we think should happen? What happened was, it was our council person who was down there fighting amongst the other 14 council people and talking about something. And what came out of it, the way the money went down, was broad stroke things. It's all kind of getting spread, you know, all from one place. We spread it, we sprinkle it everywhere. But if it was going directly into wards, into councils, and letting people who know each other, talking in rooms like this, work out how they want the money to be used. It goes right back to the homeless issue you were saying. 90% of them weren't from here. If we were working in terms of this area, we're as big as a third of the towns in Rhode Island. And yet we're powerless. You have this one council person who's going down there, and they're going to be fighting with other 14. We have thin representation, and it's worse in other cities. But the name, well, go ahead.
Yeah, no, she had her hand up a while back. Go ahead.
Thank you, Miss Alfier. Thank you. One of the things that I was gonna say, we as city councils, we can't do this by ourselves. We need your help. If we call on you to show up for a meeting, to express your concerns and your problems and your issues, we can work all together. Because I see, you know, people saying, we need help. You're calling for help. We can help you if you can help us understand the issue. I understand your issue because we had a conversation before. Yes, we did. So we had a conversation about your neighborhood. So, and the people around you. And I sympathize with, you know, with what you're saying. And it's easy to say than done because we need the help of the community. Like I said, if we're calling for a meeting, show up to the meeting so we can solve the problems or we can work together to solve the problems. Because if we don't know the problems that you're going through or the issues that are around your neighborhood, we cannot move forward. And only one person can't do it all.
Okay.
And wait a minute, there's a hand up.
Yes, sir.
All right, I have a couple things to say and a challenge for all three of you. The first thing that I want to say is that in terms of buy-in for whoever wins out of the three of you, as soon as you get in office, you'll have it from everyone in this room. That's what I know. I've been in this neighborhood 23 years. I'm 33 years old. Moved here when I was 10. Lived on Garner Street for half of that. Been on Esther Street for the other half. So in terms of having our trust and our buy-in when you first get in, it's not the issue. It's the transparency and it's the consistency and it's the follow-through once you get in. So as a challenge for all three of you, when I say that transparency piece, whatever you say you're going to do, have integrity and stand on what you say you're going to do, right? As soon as that doesn't happen the first time, these meetings are going to get smaller and smaller. And that's what's been happening over the last 15 years in this neighborhood. Well, in my personal opinion. And so a lot of these issues that we have, I do agree. We have to have some personal accountability and deal with some of these things on our own as a neighborhood. I disagree with you, Miss Flores. I don't, working together as one ward with other wards, no disrespect to Elmhurst, but we don't work with them. They don't want to work with us. They're separate. They have their own community. Ward 12 has their own community. Same thing with Ward 2, Ward 1, Ward 3, so on and so forth. We need to look out for each other because no one has been looking out for Ward 12 like Ward 12 has been looking out for Ward 12. You know what I mean? Miss Alfier's family's been looking out for this neighborhood for damn near a century, and she's still fighting. You know what I mean? And a lot of the things that have been issues when she was a little girl were issues when I was a little boy, and now I'm a grown man. So the city didn't help, the state didn't help, that's on us, right? I'm not about this whole, oh, we need to go to the city, we need to do what you gotta do in city council to get items, you know, approved in the budget. But like Chester said, we need personal accountability from everyone in this room and everyone that's not in this room who wants to run their mouth and complain. Those people need to be in these meetings. And if you need any assistance from me, you two know, you guys can always reach out to me for anything. For anything, doesn't matter what it is. And yeah, like that's pretty much it. Like I hate coming to these things because everyone has to say the same thing. We get it. I get it. I understand. You say what you gotta say to get the elect. I don't care about any of that. I want to see what you do once you're in. Doesn't matter which one of you win. When you get in, that first meeting that you call with Ward 12 committee or whatever it is, whatever's discussed in those meetings need to get done. And if you're not leaning on us for the assist, then that's on you. But the people in this room will step up and they will show up. So I just want everyone to know that, and yeah, like, good luck. May the best person win.
Isn't that nice?
What I was trying to say when I said to work together with the other council people or the other wards, what I meant is when we go into City Hall, we all have to participate and we all have to come together to make decisions on the budgets, on the problems, on the issues that are in every ward. So if we don't work together in the City Council, we can't work for this, you know, for our wards unless we fight for it. Okay? So that's what my point is.
So my pushback on that is that that's because if we're relying only on the city's money and the city's budget to get things done, we'll never get anything done.
Exactly.
Like we have a neighborhood association here that's not even a neighborhood association, and we get things done, right? We have meetings monthly, we lean on each other and all the members to get things done and to address certain issues. We don't need all the city's money. We can throw our own little fundraiser and raise money for what to address any of the issues you're talking about.
So all the committees, we have different committees on Ward 12, right? If I understand. Different committees. We have different people, groups.
Oh, yeah.
Around.
Yeah.
So why don't we take all those groups that are around Ward 12 doing their own thing, taking care of their own issues? Why
They come
we
together.
don't come together? We unite.
You're absolutely
Yes.
right. And that was another challenge that I had for
And make
all three
it
of you.
one instead of all these different, groups that they have on Ward 12.
So will you be brief? Look, I'm gonna give everybody their 2 minutes. So unless you're responding to this.
I was gonna respond, but that's okay.
Okay, so we'll give you 2 1/4 minutes.
Okay.
So can I tell you something? I believe in innovation, and I haven't seen it for a very long time for the city council or the recent mayors. In Cambridge, they have bought 300 triple deckers, city. And you can buy them without a down payment, and you can only sell them for what you paid for. Okay? That's how they start trying to stop gentrification. This city's bought 0 properties to help anybody. Let me give you another example. I can give you 10, but this isn't my time. In New York City, you can no longer build an apartment house or a dorm or anything without setting aside 2% for reasonable housing. And that's determined by the neighborhood groups, not by the developer. because the developer's about to charge somebody $8,000 for rent. And the people live there can't pay but $1,000. So if he doesn't determine it, she doesn't determine it, the neighborhood does. They get 2 apartments for 2 people versus 0. And they're in the swankiest buildings in the world. Now let me give you a quick response. In the newspaper yesterday, you saw Brown University building 2 new dorms with your money.
Yes.
You listening? They go through state financing. They save about 12% on the buildings by having the state financing for them, and they don't give us anything. Councilperson, you can put in an ordinance, you cannot build a dorm or an apartment house, I'd say more than 8 units, without at least 1 unit, 2 units, 1% for reasonable or low-income unit. You can do that and stop people from ripping us off versus just talking about what the problem is. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist. Read the paper and see what they're doing in Seattle and copy them. We're going to let you say something really quick, and then we're going to do 2 minutes each, starting, yes.
Last issue. I am a football coach. I coach football in the spring. I coach football in the fall. At Davis Park is the main place where we practice football. There are baseball fields at Davis Park. About 3 years ago, I addressed that issue. You got 2 baseball fields that are not even being utilized for baseball. I addressed the fact that if you got football players on it 9 months out of the year, why not just make that a football field? Then you don't have to worry about football players going on the main baseball field. I was like, oh, that's a great idea, let's do it. And then it came into, well, let's see, we're going to do a survey, we're going to do this, we'll do that. It came, and we kept hearing this year after year after year. It's been 3 years now, it's been blown off. So basically, whoever becomes city council, can we address this issue for our kids in our community? Have a safe area where we can work our kids up and train them. Because right now, I mean, we have some great kids, some great athletes, and I mean, we have people that already made it to the pros and all that stuff. Now, it's not the end all, but it does keep the kids off the street. And if we have destruction in that neighborhood.
Can I tell you, I live next door to the director of parks, and I talk to her every other day and get her to do things. I'm gonna give you my card, and you call me, and I'm gonna put you at a table with her.
That would be
And
great.
then they're gonna follow up in January and make this happen.
No problem.
Will you start?
Well, thank you everybody for giving us the opportunity to be here with you tonight. Thank you for listening to our plans and a better future for Ward 12. I wish that everybody put their thoughts together and make the right decision and move to vote for this September 13. We need to have a better future. We're looking forward to start a new ward and moving forward. We cannot live in the past. We need to live from now on. We need to start building up Ward 12. We need to uplift Ward 12 and work together and make things happen. And I hope that, this discussion with us here tonight will give you a better understanding of how everybody is running in different plans and in different opinions. So I hope that I answered your questions, so if you had any doubts about who to vote, that this will give you a clear decision from today on into September 13, and I hope and I look forward to seeing you at the election polls and asking you for your support and for you beginning of Ward 12.
Okay. First, let me say, I don't think you can move forward without having the knowledge of the past. Because otherwise, we'll keep making mistakes. I don't think you can move forward without having knowledge of the past and experience of the past. Otherwise, we'll keep making those same mistakes. That being said, the reason why I think I would be a really good choice for this, I have a lot of experience, but I also have a lot of connections. I also have I've been on just about every board and committee that you can possibly be on, in the city, in the community. That helps a lot because that puts you at the table. I can get us to the table to sit down to speak to these people. I am not a person that only focuses on one thing, because you cannot focus on one thing. It's going to be a multi-issue thing. I am on housing boards. I am on the Providence Community Health Center. I'm on one neighborhood. I did CAP, and I have a lot of connection with CAP. I am also on the library. I'm on all kinds of educational boards and committees. I also am on speaking terms with, where I'm like you, I can get people at a table. And that's for private and public funding. So I know where this, Joe's, he's a money guy. He will hunt down the money. I'm not gonna hunt down the money, but I know how to talk to the people that have the money. You know? So I can get you there and we can talk about it. We do need all the connections, and I agree with you on the fact that we are gonna have to deal with all the different wards. But just because I'm dealing with all the different wards, because I want everybody to be safe and healthy, this is my house. You know? So I'm gonna take care of my house, you know, and I'm gonna hope that everybody else can benefit from it. But I'm gonna take care of Ward 12, because Ward 12 has taken care of me, you know. So I think we need to go in there knowing where certain things are. I'm gonna be transparent. If I don't know, I'm gonna tell you, I don't know. But I know somebody that does. Let us go and sit down and speak with them. I will try my best to get everything done, but I want people to realize what you think, what may be your pet peeve for that day, because we all have them. I may not be able to get that done because that is not we're all trying to get up here for everybody. If the other thing is a smaller thing, maybe I will work with you to try to get it done at another level. But we have to think about the benefits for the whole community. I cannot say, okay, Joe, I know it's all about you. You really want this golf club right here. I'm going to get it for you. When I know that there's other things that have to be done. So I got a quarter of another pack. So I think that we need to figure out ways of getting things done. And I agree with you, education is a really good thing. You know, I have to admit, both of you have said some really nice things. And I think we're basically on the same level, all of us, you know. But we have to figure out how we're going to get in there. This is going to be a fairly new council. Just about half of them are gone. You know, so that's a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing, you know. So we need to get in there and know where we are and who we can grab when we get in there. I know a lot of the people working in City Hall that won't be leaving. So that's what we need. I think we need somebody that knows the ins and outs and will tell you from the heart. Because the people that know me around here know I don't sugarcoat. I do not sugarcoat. If I don't think something's right, I'm going to tell you I don't think it's right. You know, so that's where I stand. And Joe's a good guy. I don't really know you that well, but you're fine with me. You know what I'm saying? You're fine with me. So whatever.
So, do we want to live in a ward or not? I mean,
no, I don't.
Okay. Well, that's one thing we can do. And how about, aren't you curious at all how much money comes out of this ward to the city?
Very much.
There's millions of dollars. And don't we want to know that?
Yes.
It's our money. And don't we want to have some ability to maybe direct that money?
Yeah.
Read my proposal. So the other one is seeing where the money goes on the city, having the website, which is purely finances of the city. We need to know that. The city needs to have all of us involved in that so that we're bringing it back here to the ward so that we can have information that helps the city but also helps us. One of the kind of outlandish things that I asked for in my charter amendment is I say that if there's less than 50% of the ward that votes for a council person, less than 50% votes, put this in the charter, we don't get a council person.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? What does that do? It makes people first want to know, well, how many people actually live in the council? I mean, you look at the voter rolls now, there's people on the voter rolls, they haven't lived here for 10 years. It means you're going to clean up the voter rolls. You're going to find out who's living here, and you're going to make damn sure that people vote. Right now, of the 12,750 of us, there's maybe 8,000 that are eligible to vote. A big turnout in the Biden-Trump thing. People showed up for that one. 3,000 people voted in this ward. How many people are going to vote for this primary? I don't know. But all I'm saying is, if we lose our council person because we didn't vote, people are going to be focused on getting things done in the council. And I've got a few more suggestions, but that's good enough for now. There you go.
I brought a little present for people. These are test kits. And everybody thinks they don't need them, but take one home anyway. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you,
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.